All right, we're spending a morning with Steve Cleave today. Steve, we're out at the new property. It's obviously pretty fresh and new, and there's a lot of whiz-bang contraptions all around the joint. How's it sort of sorting out?
Yeah, it's come along really good. We moved in here in 2011. I think we've had our first track work on the 1st of January 2012. So in 5 years, we've sort of come from nothing to where we are today, which is great.
You've got a smallish team in work, but obviously some nice horses. How does it work? Do you have a couple of workers, or are you by yourself? How do you manage it?
No, it's family enterprise here. Like stepdad outside, he always gives us a hand with the horses, but it's basically the two of us. So we like to keep the team small so we can just give them the individual attention that they require.
All right, we might let you gear the horse up, and we'll have a look at you. We're working it soon, but talk us through your training philosophies, I guess, in many ways. While you're, if you can, while you're getting the horse ready. Are you a man that likes to sort of get them fit at home and work them hard and give them a hit out here, or do you prefer to sort of get them fit at the races? How do you see that sort of side of it?
Yeah, look, we're sort of lucky. We've got a hill track. It's a 1,000-metre track with 700 of it's uphill and 300 downhill. So they get pretty fit at home without having to really extend them, because they do a lot of work going up and down the hills. Naturally, nothing can supplement race fitness. So, you need a couple of trials just to get that last little 5% into them before you go to the races. But as I said, we're sort of lucky with the hill because we don't have to have them going flat out to get the same workout as we would on a flat track. So,
in terms of not having a massive team, does it help, I suppose, to be able to give each horse individual attention and them inside out and their quirks, and I suppose that's an advantage.
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing that we, really do try to do, is just keep the numbers down. There's a lot of big stables with, big numbers of horses punching through. We sort of didn't want to be that. I'd rather spend, a little bit of extra time on each horse so they get that individual attention. You find some horses go better in a big environment. Some horses just don't handle it and they prefer a quieter environment. So it's sort of just giving us a bit of a difference to those big stables.
So in terms of when you were setting the property up, how did you choose this area? Have you always lived around here, and how did you come to sort of find this place to be?
Yeah, my step family actually all came from Riddles Creek, which is just around the corner. And when we started looking for properties, my stepsister found this one probably first. We didn't really look at it that seriously. Probably looked at another dozen places and then ended up coming back to the very first one that they looked at, and it's worked out pretty good. In
terms of that timeline and setting it up, you mentioned it was about a year until you were first using the track. It's obviously a relatively long process.
Yeah, we had a bit of issues with the council trying to get permits and that sort of stuff, so that held us up. But then, it's not a 5-minute job to, build a 1,000-metre track and the barn that you see and the stables and everything else. So we just sort of decided, well, we want to do it right the first time, take our time in doing it, and then, walk away with something like this.
I suppose with all that sort of work that went into it, it's probably, you've got to a point now where you'd be pretty happy with where it is, and having sort of the success that you're having at the minute, it's all working out well.
Yeah, very happy with how it's come along. Like any farm, there's always something else we'd like to do, but you can't do everything at once. Money's always a restraint with those sort of things too. But the success that we've had since moving here has been pretty good. We've had a lot of horses that, maybe weren't stars, but they certainly earned their, fair share of money whilst they were coming out of here. So
it's obviously a relatively hard game to get involved in if you're not brought up in it. What sort of learnings did you have when you were younger? Did you work through many stables, or did you sort of learn from family? How did that happen?
Yeah, no, there was no real direct family involvement, other than my uncle had a couple of standardbreds up at his dairy farm, and I just fell in love with horses when I was, knee-high to a grasshopper. And growing up, I just, used to go to the trots with the uncle. Always wanted to be, a trotting driver. That was my dream. Some people want to be a fireman, someone wants to be a policeman. I always wanted to be a trotting driver. So basically now I'm just living the dream. I spent 4 years working with Jack and John Caldo.
Yeah.
They were great when it came to getting my driving career going. I was only 16 at the time.
Yeah.
And John was, he was really good at, getting drives for me and things like that. And he was great at sort of teaching me the ropes too, and you couldn't find a better driver to learn from when you're a young kid. I mean, look, it's a pretty friendly industry. I mean, there's always going to be someone that you don't get along with, but 99.9% of us, we all get along good, and it shows you when something bad happens, or when there's fundraising that, you find out that it really is a pretty close-knit family. Yeah. Even though we're fierce competitors on the track, it's pretty friendly off the track. So, what's
the dream or the long-term goal? Is it sort of just to find that good horse and win big races? Is that what you're sort of all aiming towards, or?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's everyone's goal in this game, But, a realistic goal is that we just keep getting a bit more successful every year. If we can improve our tally of winners each year on top of the previous, then, we're going to be happy. And if we can, get that Group 1 horse, well, that's just going to be the cherry on top. We're a bit unlucky. We had Indigo Bay, he made 6 Group 1 finals. Wasn't quite good enough to win them, but he was always in that sort of 4th to 6th sort of area. He ended up breaking a bone in his hind foot when he was at the peak of his career. So our next one, I suppose, is trying to find one to replace him, and that's not easy.
Mickey is heading down to the line. Always be Mickey in